Okay? But we were started off as a nation of laws, as a lawful republic, and I'm sorry, it just seems to me that we've just kind of lost that.
Let's go to the phones, Jim. As promised, first-time caller line, you're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hi, George. Hi, Jim. This is Steve from Detroit.
Welcome, Steve.
My first question, I guess, is Alan Dulles was fired by Kennedy in 1961. There was National Security Act 55, 56, and 57 that dissolved essentially was going to lead to for the CIA to be dissolved, lack of the word I'm looking for. But
yes, those memorandums were shifting responsibility from the CIA to the Pentagon.
I think that they had an involvement in it if there was a conspiracy. And what do you think on that, Jim? And then one quick question. Could have Tom Wilson in the Nigel Turner series, they were saying a shot was taken from the sewer, and the specials on TV said that there was no way he was in view. And from what I can make out of the Zapruder films, it seems apparent that a shot could have been gotten off from there. And I'll take it off the air.
Okay, yes, the memorandums that you mentioned were signed by Kennedy and were intended to shift power and responsibility away from the CIA and place it back into the Pentagon where it probably more properly belonged. In fact, the New York Times reported that Kennedy had vowed to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and cast it to the winds. Even President Truman, who signed the National Security Act that created the CIA, later came to say, man, maybe I made a mistake, basically. And then as far as the gunman in the sewer goes, the problem is there is no real evidence to show that happened, but just for your interest, I actually myself have gotten down in that. It's not a sewer, it's just a storm drain, but you can climb down in there, and it does have that wide slit where the water runs in, and I've looked up, and from that position to the president's car in the middle of the street, you're only talking about 6 feet or so. I mean, it's definitely possible that something like that could have happened. But then I think that leads me to the main point, which is we don't know if that happened or not, because to this very day, there has never been an objective, truthful, in-depth investigation into the death of President Kennedy.
I got all excited when they were going to test the audio of the shots, and then they came up with, something that really wasn't conclusive.
Right. Well, basically what happened there was that the Congress created the House Committee on Assassinations, and they had a executive director and a chief counsel who vowed they were going to do an honest investigation, and then before it was over with, there was a lot of squabbling and name-calling and withholding of funds, and those guys went away, and they put a man in who said that he was not going to look at any new evidence. He was simply going to check through scientific means to see if there's anything wrong with the old evidence, and they were all prepared to say it was Oswald with 3 shots, and that's it, except for this acoustical tape that's been mentioned, and that was made from the Dallas Police dicta belt, and on there, 2 separate sets of acoustical scientists said that at least 1 shot came from the grassy knoll, okay? But then they turned it over to the Justice Department and said, well, you need to investigate further, and the Justice Department declined to do so, but instead put together a committee from the National Academy of Sciences, and all they did was call into question the acoustical studies, and then that floated along for a while just in controversy, and everybody forgot about it. And then a peer review group in Britain came back and said that the National Academy of Sciences were all wet and that their methodology was all wrong. And so, again, was just mired in controversy, which I guess means that if you can afford to hire experts, you can prove anything or disprove anything you want to.
Absolutely. Stay with us. We'll come back, wrap up with final phone calls on Coast to Coast AM. Well, Jim, I don't know if you're the one to do that. Are you?
Let me. There are 2 points here. Number one, he has misrepresented my comments. What I said is that I'm not making any judgment on the decision to allow the Pearl Harbor attack because I could see the argument that it might have been necessary to stop Nazism and that. So I didn't say that I concurred with that decision. If you'll read my book, Rule by Secrecy, you'll find out the Japanese were goaded into attacking the United States, particularly when Roosevelt shut off their oil supplies in the summer of 1941, almost guaranteeing that they had to attack us. He also, under the guise of security, prevented any of our naval vessels from going into the northwestern Pacific, which guaranteed that they had a clear shot at Pearl Harbor without being detected by our Navy. You have to go back and understand the motives of some of the people who are trying to run these various scenarios. And I noticed the gentleman said his fellow members of the Council on Foreign Relations. Let me be quick to point out that everybody who's a member of the Council on Foreign Relations is not some sinister conspirator, okay? But there are people, the Council on Foreign Relations is very much like the Freemasons. There's an outer circle and there's an inner circle. And people within the inner circle have their own game plan, and maybe they even delude themselves into think that what they're doing will prevent World War III. But what they're going for is globalization, the New World Order, one world economy, one world military, one world government. And my question back to the caller is that let's assume they achieve this goal and everything's run out of the United Nations building in New York. What is our guarantee that we won't get a new Hitler who will gain control over that system and therefore attain the age-old goal of ruling the world, and then with no free countries left to try to put a stop to this? Also, I'd also point out
for them.
How lucky for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks for your call. Appreciate it. Well, only a few more moments to go here, Jim. Let's see if we have time for one more quick call. Go ahead. You've got about a minute.
Hi, this is Richard. I'm calling from the Armenian province of Glendale, California.
Hello there, Richard.
Hey, I wanted to give Jim just a quick couple of kudos first. I really, really appreciate where you're coming from, Jim, as far as your thoughts about what a nation-state should be. I agree with you 100%. We need to take care of people, and we need to allow people to take care of themselves. And if the government can't do that, then it serves absolutely no purpose at all. And I cannot wait for your show on the Discovery Channel. I am so looking forward to that. I was just delighted to hear about that. But I'd like to get to flying saucers. I just saw that video you guys got on your website of the Bavarian flying saucer. And that is a good-looking video. And I was wondering, Jim, if you've had a chance to see that, and if you know at what stage the analysis of that video is at this point.
No, I do not at this point. But I think the thing that we need to leave the show on is that, in order for us to truly consider ourselves free people, we have to be free. And that means we have to have access to the information about Kennedy assassination, 9/11, the UFOs, so that we as free citizens can make up our own minds about what we want to do about this stuff and instruct our elected officials to do so. I think the time has passed where we have to all look towards the federal government as some sort of a daddy figure who will take everything and take charge of everything and tell us how to live our lives.
Very good. Jim